On Your Health, first responders are crucial helpers, but after what they can see at scenes, you have to wonder if sometimes they can use the help. Tonight, 7 News reporter Gage Kilborn looks at a recent study that looks at the mental health of helpers.
I would absolutely be lying to you to say that there hasn't been calls that bother me.
Joe Plummer has been working as a first responder in Jefferson County for 35 years and knows it can be mentally draining.
With these types of traumas, because they truly are a trauma, that a person becomes a sponge and just keeps absorbing and absorbing until the sponge can't hold anymore, and people become so troubled that they want to go harm themselves.
A study released this week by SUNY New Paltz found a majority of the 6,000 first responders asked experienced stress, burnout, and anxiety. It also found that while 2% of the general public say they've had thoughts of harming themselves, when it comes to first responders in the state, 16% have had those thoughts. Jefferson County Fire and Emergency Management Director Joe Plummer thinks the numbers are much higher.
And I think that's low, because we are in a society in the first responder world that I'm macho, because they think the stamina has always been there. Suck it up, Buttercup, we need to do this. And just move on and go.
In Governor Kathy Hochul's State of the State address, she focused on helping support the mental health of first responders. One of the ways Governor Hochul is planning to help first responders is by launching a first responder scholarship program. It will provide financial support for first responders who are looking to pursue a career in counseling within the SUNY system.
Well, it's nice that they realize the mental health struggles that public safety faces. Anytime you can get additional counselors, especially ones that are focused on the specific situations that public safety faces, I think that would be generally good.
Plummer and Timmerman hope this will allow more open dialogue about mental health in the first responder field. Gage Kilborn, 7 News.